This is Royalty Talk with your host, formerly Royalty. Not formally, like the artist formerly known as, but formally, like this is officially Miss Royalty. Here, we discuss navigating life and adulting in marriage, parenting, pregnancy, grandparenting, working, social issues, school, being an entrepreneur, and so much more. Whatever your cup of tea, you are truly in for a treat. Welcome and have a seat. Wow. Hey, Royalty Talk family. Today, I wanted to talk with you guys about whether or not I pledged. So, y'all know I went to a HBCU grad, okay? It is known to be at HBCU, a part of the culture for Greek letter organizations to kind of be pushed, to be kind of put on a pedestal. And it's like everybody wants to join some Greek letter organization, or they're an athlete or whatever. And I had questions. I'm like, do I want to do this or don't I want to do it? And for a minute, I was like, yes, I do want to do this. What are the qualifications? How do I do what I'm supposed to do? So I really want to talk to you guys because you might have some questions like I did, especially being a Christian woman, because typically in the church, you'll find that most pastors and leadership say, no, you shouldn't do it. But then you have other pastors, like big name pastors who have just joined, and you have celebrities who are a part of these Greek letter organizations, and it kind of makes it appealing. So I had to see and pray about it for myself. And I'll talk to you guys today about what my decision was. So let me tell you guys how it kind of started for me. When I went to high school, my first 3 years of high school, I went to one high school. And one of the teachers there she one day just gave me an invite to come and to join and be an AKA. So she was like full-fledged, y'all. She drove a pink Cadillac like a Mary Kay lady, everything. And so I was trying to decide, like, am I going to tell my aunt about this so I can go or not? But at the time, I was like, I don't want to be no AKA. Like, they so cute and just like they just cute. You know what I was thinking? Yeah, I'm cute, but I'm a little ratchet. So baby, I want to be a Delta, because they be doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of the reason why I did tell my aunt, because I was thinking, I don't want to be an AKA. I don't want to just be cute. Like, I still want to be cute and ratchet. So I didn't tell her, and I didn't go then. And then later in my high school time, I ended up getting pregnant. And this same teacher was one of the ones that I heard later, like, make a comment when I was walking by. I just heard disdain, her frown about, where she thought I was going to go in life. And I get, that a bit. It was just very disappointing to go from someone who wanted me to be a part of something that you're a part of and you believe in a lot, to just like seeing a certain part of me and then deciding she ain't worth it. Like, she's not going to do anything. So that was like a huge disappointment, but something that I initially and eventually had to become familiar with, because I got that a lot as a teen mom back then. And so moving forward in my adult years, once I actually got to the point where I attended a university, I ended up attending a HBCU. And I am so happy that I did attend the HBCU, because it just really opened me up to so much of our culture that I feel like I really didn't know and I didn't understand previously. And it opened up an opportunity to have a whole lot of conversations that I didn't have previously either. And I guess maybe just part of that, but also I have been virtually home doing most of church most of the time for a few years now. And so it's 2025. And since 2020, it was like COVID stuff, right? And so most people were home and churches did shift to doing a lot of things virtually. So since most churches kind of shifted to virtual, most of them, even after the people were able to go back in public more often after COVID had its big impact on the world, a lot of churches still do virtual. So I've been doing virtual church most of the time. And I honestly, I was like, I do want to join this organization, but I need to find one that doesn't have itself connected to some god or goddess because, I'm just not down with that. And so I thought that I had found it. And lo and behold, the one that I thought I found was AKA, y'all. So I was like, I'm about to put in my stuff, my application to be Alpha Kappa Alpha. I already thought about who was, reached out to my cousin. I was like, yeah, she's like, my mom's AKA. And I was like, girl, tell her I need a recommendation letter, da 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 da. And I was gung ho for it. But at the same time, I was praying about it. And I was like, Lord, I want to make a sound decision with this. So lead me so I'm not making a decision based off of just things that have been said traditionally, but what do you want me to do? And so I found my answers through just stumbled upon this video one day, and I watched a video and it answered pretty much every question that I had. And afterwards, I knew God said to me, it's your choice still. Do you want to link up with this or me? And all day, every day, I'm going to choose God. So I'm going to break that down for you guys some more and just, I'm not going to totally go into all of the things. So, but what I am going to do is provide you with enough brief information. If we need to have another podcast episode, just going into some things some more than we can. But in this one, we're just going to go over kind of a here to there type of thing. So hopefully if you have questions like I had questions and you really want to do the right thing, that this will help steer you in the right way. Because what I love about God is that he loves me enough that he doesn't try to force himself on me. But he said to me, it's still your choice, Tiffany. You have the information, you have the knowledge. So whatever you choose to do, it's going to be with the knowledge that you asked me for. And so I know I made the right decision, and God knows I hope you guys do too. So let's talk about it. Let's kind of go from the beginning, because y'all know I like to kind of like hit the beginning and then keep going. What's a Greek letter organization? These organizations are like non-organizations that were founded by college students around the Jim Crow era time. So I think it's very important to also understand what was happening in America during that time. During that season, a lot of Black Americans were experiencing racism, segregation, inabilities to vote, or they were experiencing hardships with even trying to vote. So there was a lot of disturbances within the community. And what usually happens when African Americans find themselves in having a hard time with something, they found something so that they can evade and elude what's actually happening, present an opportunity to get around that. So that's what I love. I love the fact that in the midst of what they were going through, they used their creativity to have an opportunity. A lot of Greek organizations stand for things like unity. They stand for things like community assistance, scholarships, all the things that kind of make it hard for African Americans to succeed. They wanted to present an opportunity to other African Americans so that they can have a way to gain it. So that's something that I love. And it was actually something that kind of drew me to it. I hear a lot of people who are in sororities and fraternities say all the time about all the great things that they do, but we cannot allow those things to supersede the fact that there will be good people who end up in hell. So we need to understand what all this stuff is and the ritualistic things that go along with it, so that when we make these decisions, we understand them enough to be able to say, I chose this and I knew that already. Or if you don't know it, there is a reason why people are denouncing. And some people were saying, like, people are denouncing now because it's a fad, it's like a whole thing. And I think that if they're doing it out of truth, great. If they're doing it because they see other people doing it, then it might not last. And they really need some information so that they can continue to stand on their decision. And so these college students, they created these non-Greek letter organizations, and most of them, if not all of them, are linked to some sort of Greek god or goddess, whether it's on the crest or not. And so how AKA got around it with me is I did not think there was a Greek god or goddess on their crest, and they are associated with a Greek god or goddess. So these Greek letter organizations, also called Black Greek letter organizations, are founded and often called like the Divine Nine. And I was like, did they call themselves the Divine Nine? Like, what? Who does that? But that was actually coined by someone else who wrote a book about their organizations and etc. But it all falls under a group, and that group is called the National Pan-Hellenic Council. And so it's like an umbrella council where these African American fraternities and sororities fall up under that. So what does Pan-Hellenic actually mean? It means like all, and it refers to like all Greeks. So it was common for Greeks to be polytheistic. So they believed in more than one god. So it is not it's not surprising that these organizations have a different god or goddess who is supposed to be the patron god or goddess over that organization. So what does that mean, to have a patron god or goddess over that organization? It means that there is a deity who is considered to be immortal or very powerful. And if you worship and honor that deity, then the deity then grants you certain things. So back in the day, the Greeks and other people who believed in that, they would do it because they wanted good harvests and they wanted certain things to happen in their lives. So that is why they worship these gods or goddesses. And so there are certain characteristics of the god or goddess that goes along with it. And there are stories that are told about each one, and they were passed down, and that's why people worship them. And so these organizations take those characteristics and they say emulate this god or goddess in your characteristics, and that's how you honor them. Okay? So there are a lot of people who don't feel like, even if there is a god or goddess connected to this organization, I'm not worshiping this god or goddess. And for one, initially, a few moments ago, you may have heard me say that the characteristics that are discussed as being a part of the organization that you're pledging to emulate the characteristics of the organization, which are based on characteristics of this god or goddess. And for me, that just didn't sit well with me because I am made in the image of Christ. And as a Christian, I am a disciple of Christ. So my actions, my characteristics should emulate what he put in the book, not what someone else or some god or goddess, some story about them said that they or I should be. So that was one thing that I just knew I could not do either. I was also able to look at some of the what happens during an induction ceremony into AKAs, because once I got older, I was like, man, this aligns with me. Like, I am cute. Like, ain't nobody trying to be cute and ratchet at my age. That's just played out. And so I felt like it aligned with me being Miss Royalty and everything. So this was like the organization that I really, really focused on. And so I saw some of the things that was a part of their induction ceremony. And just to mention a couple things that just kind of like was a red flag for me. One of the things was in the part where they say, to our founders we bow. And so when people are saying like, you're not worshiping and you're not doing this and you're not doing that, this ritual does seem very Um, it does seem like a ceremonial type of thing. And in the video that I watched, the lady just broke it down and how it is an act of not just submission, but it's like a total act of um, sacrifice. And you are that sacrifice. And so if I'm going to submit and sacrifice myself to anything and anyone, it is going to be to the one true and holy God. And so when I connected what she said to things like this, where you're talking about to our founders we bow, I'm not bowing to any person. I'm not, whether they're living or dead, like I'm not doing that because they are not my God. So that didn't sit right with me. And then there's another part of it that said, I show my submission by kneeling or something like that. And like for me, that's another big part. Like I'm kneeling because now I'm submitting to you. No. That is not biblical. I am a married woman. So yes, I'm going to submit to my husband, but first I submit to God. And so it's like an umbrella there, but there is nowhere under that umbrella where I submit to an organization of any sort or any of the people in that organization. So, that's just like a couple things that I was just like, no, I can't do that. And I didn't want to join something, and you pay money. Like you pay a cost to even join. You pay a cost to even stay apart. So if you're getting involved in this, it's not something that's free either. So Leviticus 18 and 30 talks about not doing certain customs because they can defile us. And there, I hate to make the connection this way, but I don't have any other way of saying it or putting it. But this custom can defile your being. And in that way, I feel like, because I did look it up and I'm like, well, okay, so is there any way that there are things that we open ourselves up to? And so the Bible also talks about giving the enemy a foothold or a space or an opportunity to do certain things in our lives. So when we participate in certain things, it can give the enemy a foothold. If I don't want to give my adversary, the enemy, the devil, any opportunity based off a decision that I've made, then I want to make that decision in wisdom. And so, because of things like bowing and kneeling as a part of the ceremony, for me, the answer was no, because at this point, it's shown to be now I'm making this an idol. And why do I say that? Because an idol of any sort, so an idol does not have to be like back in the day, they had the cows and all the things images that they made. And these images were worship, and that's how they became an idol. So this patron god on a crest, you can almost say the way some people feel about their Greek letter organization, it is an idol to them. So for me, and I say this boldly, as for me and my house, we are going to serve the Lord. So I'm not bowing, I'm not kneeling to no organization. I'm not committing myself to an organization where it's going to compete with God. And at this point, that's the way I feel. I feel like during an initiation or induction into this Greek letter organization, that's where you're saying, my commitment is here. And when I got saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost, my commitment is to God. That's where my loyalty lies. That's where I want to gain my wisdom and my knowledge for how I want to run my life. It's how I do want to assist and help the community. It's how I do want to provide scholarships to other people. It's how I do want to serve and model to other young women. I don't need an organization to tell me how to do that. I'm going to do that based off of God and his characteristic and what he says and how I should live. So in Joshua 24, verses 14 through 27, it goes into some things into great detail. And part of it is fear of the Lord and serving him in all faithfulness. And in order for me to say that I'm doing that, I feel like I could not yoke myself up with an organization like this. So these Greek letter organizations, they do have a lot of influence. And so it is very appealing to join. However, I really would like for you guys to, if you're thinking about it, to definitely pray about it. If you've already joined, to definitely pray about it all the more, because you have so many people who are joining. They're already putting this paraphernalia on their children. So they are depositing, hey, this is the way in the how you should go. And I think that is definitely something to be prayed about and to be led by God, and to not be consumed by things of this world, because we are in this world, but we are not of it. So when it comes to certain things, we definitely need to be prayerful about it, and not allow other things to become an altar or an idol for us that is ungodly. And there are a lot of ways in which becoming a part of these organizations can do that in our lives, and even unknowingly or unbeknownst. So it is really good to self-appraise and to look at the magnitude that this organization may have on your life, and to say, okay, does this seem holy or unholy? Because at the end of the day, we should be living holy and acceptable to God. Our bodies are a living sacrifice. So if I kneel and bow to something else, then I just took God out. And that's just the truth and the reality and the fact of it. And I'm not taking him out of my life. I've come too far to allow my desire to be connected to something bigger, something greater, something with unity and sisterhood, when ultimately, whether I find that in the church house or not, because many people get discouraged because they go to church and they don't find a sister friend or a sister clique, and they see these other sisters who have it and they want to find it somewhere else. So you might not find it at the church. So whether you find friendship at the church or not, it's most important that you find God at the church because he is omnipresent. And if you don't feel his presence, you're not growing, you're not learning anything, then perhaps that particular temple is not the place for you. And you may be led to go to another church that helps you grow in the spirit and mature more. And it may be there that you find some of the things that you're looking for. But first and foremost, you should be looking for God and for nothing else to take its place. And for a long time, that's where I went wrong. I was looking for some man to come ride on his little white horse and save me and keep me from all the hurt, harm, and danger. That was not anyone's job. Yes, my husband should be a protector and all the things like that. I'm not discounting that or saying that's not what he should be. But there are things and pressure that I should not have put or be putting on him. That's really not his job. And he can't fill those certain voids that we have. Only God can fill those voids. And when we look for them in man, we often find ourselves being disappointed because they can't do it. And God naturally makes it where we do get disappointed, I feel, because he doesn't want us depending on other people when we should depend on him. If you have found yourself in that predicament, definitely pray. I just really want to reiterate that because Jeremiah 29:13 talks about when you seek God with all your heart, you will find him. And he is he is a living God. So if we ask him and we really want the answer, he's going to give it to us. And then it's up to us to make a decision and make a choice on how we move forward. But God is very clear. He is a jealous God, and there are no other gods to be put before him. So I don't want to link myself up with an organization that has a patron god or deity, because I'm not putting no other God before my God, because God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit is the true and living God to me. So I'm not going to attach myself and yoke myself up with any of that. And had I have done that, I do believe that there is a reason why people denounce, because I think that they are following a procedure that kind of goes back to some things that are biblical. When people did certain things or found themselves in sin, they would follow like a ritualistic process of purification. And so they may wash in a mikveh or other things like that, that was a process of beginning to purify themselves. And that's things that we don't have to do today. We don't have to do that process today. But I think in a way that once people pray about it and they're asking for repentance, they're repenting to God, asking for God to forgive them for linking up with this other god or goddess, and finding themselves in this matter of sin. And what is sin? Sin creates a barrier between you and God. So putting another patron god or god is going to put a barrier between you and God in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Deuteronomy 7:5 talks about all the ways to like get rid of the idols that you have in your life, and it talks about burning them and doing all the things. So when people denounce, I think that they are kind of going through those same processes. They are really trying to make sure that they have separated themselves from the organization. So that means going through the process of getting their name off of that roll. Because at the end of the day, the role you want to be on is when Christ opened that book, or whoever he decide, whoever it is supposed to open the book. My name is going to be in the Lamb's Book of Life. You hear me? I don't care if my name is on any other roll but that one. And so I think part of their process of why they're denouncing from the organization and not just repenting only is because they are getting their name off the roll. So they're separating themselves from that organization and making sure that they are no longer associated or yoked to that organization. And so even still, with praying, with repenting to God, you may also need to go through some deliverance procedures because of the spiritual side of being connected to such a vast organization that has so many things with it, so many things that I don't even know if the founders thought it was going to go there. We recently had a young man pass away because some of the hazing that's still going on within these organizations when it's anti-hazing. And a lot of times now most colleges have you take a class that talks about no hazing, but there are still some ritualistic ceremonies that go on just to be a part of these organizations, and that in itself is not holy. So I joined no church that would have me demean myself or demean other people in order to be a part of it. So anything like that is a red flag. Finally, my tea lovers, I'll just leave you with this. 1 John 5:21 says, "Dear children, keep yourselves from idols." So plain as day too, we just want to make sure that we do not bind ourselves up, yoke ourselves up, which is just a whole lot of spiritual talk for connecting ourselves, for putting our name on the roll of an organization that can or is an idol in our life. And so again, you guys, if you are already a part of an organization, I really, really, really suggest that you pray about it, you fast about it, and you really seek God, because God says when you seek him, you will find him. And when I did, he definitely gave me the answer. It didn't come through his audible voice. It didn't come through the word that time. It came through me just hopping on YouTube one day, and then the video was right there for me. And it was definitely a blessing, because I didn't join something with thinking I'm just not going to do what traditional Christians do, And so And then you have this big name pastor who joins this organization as well, just making it look like it's great. And it kind of made me sad because at that point, I already knew this information. I'm like, this pastor has a possibility of leading a lot of people astray. And there are other big name pastors that are also a part of these organizations. So when you put those letters on and you have it on your vehicles or you have it anywhere else, it can really have an opportunity to influence other brothers and sisters of Christ or people who are thinking about giving God their lives. And in that, I cannot sacrifice myself or anyone else and that blood be on my hands by saying it's okay, because I don't believe it is. So, you guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's Tea Talk and that you like, share, and subscribe because there's more to come.